Okay guys, so I checked my tire pressure and it's about the same as it was yesterday on my other bike, but these rims are significantly wider. They're I-40 in the front, I-30 in the 5 in the back. The tires are a little bit bigger. I mean, it's a 2.6 in front and a 2.5 in back, but they measure 2.5, 2.4. These tires are thicker casing. It's the durable casing of Terravel, which is probably kind of like the Exo Plus maybe of Maxxis. I'm not a big fan of Maxxis tires. I've got a few sets, but I've never really got into them. Anyway, I want to talk a little bit more about if I get another bike, why I'm so picky and why I'm thinking that I have to get something that's, hold on, let me adjust my camera. I can't get it to turn up. Why I have to get something that is you know, frame up. Number one, I'm gonna want to pick out everything. That's probably, I mean, that makes sense, right? But the other thing is I'm not sure if I'm really sold on 12 speed, and I'm even thinking of doing an 11 speed like I did this one. This one is a 1x11, not a 1x12. I had to kind of do some custom things with it to get it to be an 1x11 to make my brake levers match with the shifter, match with the dropper post, wolf tooth dropper post lever. You could get it to match with pretty much any of the newer brakes, so that's not a big deal. I'll probably be doing, well, I know I'll be doing XT brakes because, or maybe even XTR, because I have a set of XTR. That's just the brakes. I only use Shimano brakes. I've thought about other brands, but I've gotten used to working on the Shimano brakes, so that's a big factor in influencing me about sticking with them. They always work well for me, and I've never had that wandering bite point or anything like that. I've never felt anything wrong with them. So they just get dirty pretty easily because of the open bay type system they have. So when you bleed them, well, you have to bleed them, I'd say, pretty frequently compared to other brakes that might be sealed a little bit more. Like my Hope brakes on my gravel bike, they seem pretty clean after a long time. And so that's the brakes. The derailleur, and do I have to have Shimano? Not necessarily, although I'm not a big fan of SRAM. I've heard a lot of issues with the transmission. I don't think, I'm probably not gonna go with a big 51, or I mean 52 or 50 ring in the back. When my one bike is gonna have a 46 in the back, just because I'll be fine with a 46 and just using a 30, or I have a 32 right now on my 46 and I'm fine. But if I feel like I want to have a little more climbing range, then I'll get a 30 or a 28. Like I said, I'm going to switch some things around with this next build. And then, so the brakes will be Shimano, the gears will probably be Shimano or something else. I thought about the micro shift ones too, but I might even get Shimano, the newer Shimano 12 speed, or get another 11 speed like this. You can still find them, and then I just have to figure out how to connect the brake lever. He didn't even try to pull over. Now I was in control, as you guys saw, and he just stays right in the middle. I usually try to at least get to one side. Good thing I was in control. I know how to ride my bike. Anyway, so about the Shimano, if I go with 11 or 12, I can. That's pretty much the decision I have to make. If I go with the 12, I have to do the micro spline free hub on the wheels I'm going to use for that. The other thing to consider, and I like switching out my wheels, so I would have to either build up another set of wheels or at least switch the free hub on a couple of my wheels to work. The other thing to think is, if I'm going to go with a full suspension, I have no idea if I really want to get into the rear shock and learning about the rear shock. And they've got so much stuff. They've got those ones now that are with a battery and stuff, and I would, you know, there is the battery for the shifters too, and people love them, but I just can't. I don't know if I want a battery with my shock or with my shifter for sure, but do I get the newer battery shock? And I don't know, it's just one more thing to think about. And you know, I'm a single speed guy for a reason. I like simplicity. The bars and the stem, you know guys, I don't think that the 35mm diameter bars really benefit me particularly, because I'm not that big. Like I said, I weigh 165 maybe with all my gear on. I did weigh myself on the scale this morning. I weigh 156. So let's say I have 9 pounds of gear. That would put me at 165. So I'm not someone who is riding so hard and fast and heavy that I would ever think of snapping a bar. And if I was really concerned, I would just use aluminum bars that are 31/8. I have some aluminum bars that are 31/8. I would use those. Nothing wrong with them. But I have some carbon bars too. And that's another thing too. If I built up another hardtail, I could build up a rigid hardtail single speed basically with everything I took off my last hardtail. I wouldn't have to buy much except the frame. I even have, what happened with my, let me tell you this since I'm going to do the video all the way down to the saddle. What happened was the frame I had, the 7 Sola frame, the frame cracked, and I was hearing a creaking. I didn't know what it was, and then finally I inspected it, and there was a crack right below underneath the top tube where it intersects the head tube. And it was just probably years of banging around on that thing with that rigid fork and riding it as if it was a full suspension bike where I'm just ping-ponging around on it. So, and it not only cracked the frame, but it cracked the Cane Creek 110 headset. So Cane Creek 110 has a 110-year warranty, which is what they say. So they gave me a new headset. So I even have a new headset. I have, hopefully if I get a frame, it will be the same size. That would suck if it was a little bit different, but maybe it was just be a lower or just an upper that's different. I don't really like the way the headsets look on the Zero Stack internal headset on carbon frame That, to me, that kind of bothers me. It seems kind of iffy too when it, I mean, I guess it looked cleaner, especially on a road bike where you want to make real clean lines. But on a full suspension bike or even a hardtail, it seems like it just looks too fabricated up there, if you will. I like having at least a little bit of the headset showing, either above or below. And the zero stack are the hidden ones that are internal, where you just drop bearings in there. I don't know, I just never have liked that look. Just me being picky. So like I said, I have everything to build up a new frame. The other thing, if I get a full squishy, I'm going to have a lot more decisions to make on components. I never have run flats, and I know a lot of guys now, they're running flats. I don't know if I would get flats for full suspension, just because I'm going to be riding in the same place, and I'm pretty confident with my SVDs. And if I was riding and doing some stuff up in North Shore and some of those park riding and stuff like that, where you might bail, of course, me bailing on my trails is a whole different thing. I'm not bailing to a double wide trail where I'll land on the trail. If I bail here, I'm going over the side of the mountain in some spots. So being clipped in to my bike, holding onto my bike, might be a good thing. I don't know. What other decisions? I like the way the new carbon frames, this is what I do really like about it, is that internal storage and ways to put your tools in there. I've actually thought of doing that with this bike or my next hardtail, and